Hello, everyone. I'm very excited to be here. We're going to have quite an interesting panel discussion today. They've got to bring some couches out here for our panelists, and they're going to be doing that right now. As everyone knows, there's more and more things happening in digital music than ever before. Basically, with the new distribution models of streaming media and network connectivity really coming across the globe, there's more ways for people to actually experience music, and the catalogs in these streaming media services are huge and global. The basic premise of actually being able to subscribe to a service without having to actually pick or download specific tracks is now sweeping the world. And really this idea, I think, is really changing how consumers are experiencing music, and also allowing people to share music with others and have them test it or try it in some way without having to make a commitment to actually purchase a track. And this really allows people to, for example, read in a magazine or on an internet website, or to see a band live they happen to stumble onto, and then go home and immediately check out their music without having to commit $16 or something like that to purchasing. This really is enabling also a social networking platform and social sharing, and hopefully one of the largest social networks in the world will soon integrate music into its offering. I know we've all been reading about that. And if they do that, then people will actually be able to share music across that network, hopefully allowing for artists and record companies to benefit much more greatly from the social networking platform. Okay, I think we've got the chairs in place. I'm going to bring out the panelists, and I'm going to have them introduce themselves. Come on up, guys. You can have any seat but the black seat. All right, thanks a lot. So I'm going to start on this end. Why don't you guys each introduce yourself briefly, and then we'll start with the questions.
Yeah, I'm Kevin Arnold from IOTA.
Hi, I'm Vince Bannon from Getty Images.
Scott Bagby from RDO.
Ben Drury from 7 Digital.
Alban Servian from MXP4.
Great. Let's start out and talk a little bit about how artists might interact with all these new services. Kevin, I know your company, IOTA, is a leader in basically helping people actually do distribution digitally. Tell me, what are you seeing in the marketplace? You've been doing this for a long time. What's new? What's exciting? Where's it all going?
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting time in the business, and sometimes I think from all of our perspective, this stuff moves at a somewhat glacial pace, right? But so, I mean, a large part of what IOTA does for its clients, independent labels and artists all over the world, is to take this responsibility on and really sort of explore and engage with all these new services to help figure out ways to monetize their music all over the world, right? So for me, well, I think first of all, this panel is a great sort of cross-section of looking at all of those types of opportunities, right? So I'm fortunate to sit up here with a bunch of companies that we do business with, and hopefully soon we'll start to do business with. So, I think right now we just heard a lot of stuff about the cloud, and while I think it's a good thing overall and should expand and sort of help grow some of the a la carte download sales right now in the market, where we're most excited from some long-term perspective is with the streaming and subscription services, right? And so I think we've talked a lot about all that today. Scott from RDO will speak about that as well as Ben. But there is a good cross section, and I'm inclined to just sort of look at all of these folks, right? So whether it's Vince helping find sync license opportunities for our artists' music from all over the world, to RDO driving out new subscription services based around what I think are some really compelling and exciting social discovery methods, to Ben and his device sort of integration and penetration to the services, down to the sort of totally new ideas about looking how you can get people to engage with music through gaming activities, through networks like Facebook and stuff. So I'm sure you'll hear a lot of good stuff from these guys.
So can I ask you a question? I mean, some of this seems like it'd be complicated. If I was an artist or maybe a small label, I'd be like, wow. Embedded CE, streaming services, gaming. How do I approach this? I maybe don't have the time to call up everybody in the world, and maybe I can't even get to them. Can your company help artists reach these guys?
Why, yes, Ty, we can. So, yeah, that, like I said, that's a large part of what we do, and I mean, it's the reason we're over here meeting with clients and partners. I think we just announced today, or will be announcing, 2 new partnerships with Taiwanese companies that are running streaming services, KKBox and EasyPeer. You know,
people basically put the music into your system. You distribute it out to, I don't know how many different services, and then collect all the statistics.
Hundreds, 600. So yeah,
Right.
I mean, soup to nuts.
That's
Our
a lot
job
of phone
is
calls,
take
like
the
you said.
music, put it out everywhere across the world. We certainly believe that covering every territory. It's a global music marketplace right now. You never know where your fans are. I think they reach much further than your sort of hometown or your local scene, as is, you know, those barriers are gone from where they were in the early days, right? So we certainly believe in experimenting, pushing the boundaries with regard to new services, and operating everywhere we can in the world. Yep.
Okay. Well, now I want to go to Vince, who's always a shy one on the panel. Vince, why don't you tell us a little bit about some of these alternative methods of distribution? What's Getty Images really been doing with how it's distributing music, and what's new there? What's exciting?
Well, the really exciting thing is you know, Getty is gone through really enormous amount of evolution, and our whole thing is, you know, licensing content. We're the largest licensors of content in the world. We've embraced the internet. We started with images. We started then next with film. We became the biggest in both images and film. We are made up of 136 acquisitions, and a few years ago I acquired a company called Pump Audio that was independent artists putting up music, and the big thing was our clients asked for it. They wanted it, right? And the big thing that we do is we pay attention to our clients. And we made it really easy for them to license music. So the master and the publishing's in one place, right? It's one-click licensing, and it's been a great growing business for us.
How many people do this on a, I don't know, monthly basis, weekly basis, whatever?
It's you know, it's become a $12 million business for us from it being a $3 million business, right? And I think it's going to be a $100 million business in a few years. And the big thing that I would want to say to rights holders, like I am in business with Kevin. I'm going to start writing his artist checks. I would love to do this for a lot of other companies because we have 6 million customers, right? And the customers, now that, you know, people that are licensing music, it's a lot of unassisted sales, which is one of my biggest businesses, a company called iStock Photo. We've added music there as well, right? And I have customers now, like Facebook is licensing music from us. Google is licensing music from us. Banks, you know, we even license, and this is the one that I love, is that we license music to actually Sony Electronics. And it's just, for us, it's real simple. It's make it really easy. You know exactly, instead of having this fear of licensing, if you're going to go in and say, I want it for this type of use, right? And you've given a price, it's very easy to, you know, download the track and you're off the races.
Right. It's literally go to a web form, fill it out, click PayPal, and you're done. That's like.
It's that easy.
Okay. Well, that certainly people in the music industry, that's definitely, I think, a wave of the future, which is if all licensing could be that simple. Maybe we could go to the far end of the panel. Al, you know, I'm really excited to hear from you. You flew all the way from Paris today. Thanks a lot for doing that. Tell us a little bit about what's going on in the gaming world. I know MXP4 has a platform for delivering music with games, and this has become a very popular way to distribute music and a great new opportunity for music artists. So tell me a little bit about that and what's going on.
Well, interestingly, MXP4 in the past used to focus on, you know, developing a new interactive audio format. That's something which has failed, and then we have transitioned the company into a social music game company. Then basically now we are developing games on Facebook, social music games. You have 670 million people on Facebook, 1/3 of them playing games, you know, and you have lots of music fans. You just have to look at the music fan pages, artist fan pages on Facebook, and it's just huge, you know, like. You know,
so it's not Angry Birds, it's Angry Guitars. That's what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. Then what we are doing.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question about how do people, it's a virtual goods market, so how big is that marketplace? Why should people care about this?
Well, you have plenty of figures available, but, you know, the latest studies I've seen, it's something about, you know, by 2015, $5 billion market, right. Mainly coming from.
So at least $4 billion that's going to be music, I'm certain.
Well, I think music right now is an untapped category on Facebook as far as gaming is concerned, you know. Then that's what we're trying to achieve here, you know, allowing music fans not only to play with their music, but play with it.
All right. Well, next I'm going to go to Ben. Ben, can you tell me a little bit about, Kevin talked a lot about CE devices and reaching CE devices. Of course, everyone knows Apple, iTunes, and the success that they've had there. But there's all these other devices. You know, the tablet now has opened up a whole new market, and Motorola and other companies are doing really well with these new tablets. Tell me, how does your platform help musicians reach the tablet world and these other new platforms?
Thanks, Ty. Great question. We work a lot with pretty much everyone who's not Apple. So we work with RIM, we work with Samsung, Toshiba, etc. And we're finding as consumers get more and more devices, now you have a tablet and a phone and a laptop and a PC and a connected games console. As people get more and more devices, they don't want to be locked into the proprietary Apple world. And so what we've tried to do is we have an open API platform which CE companies can integrate against. We're licensed in more countries than anyone else apart from Apple, and we allow these companies to create their own distinctive experiences on their own devices. And we find that working very closely with the CE companies, not just pre-installing an app, we find that actually getting them to work very closely with us on an integration, we can achieve great services.
Right. If they were to build, for example, these features right into the platform, they might even be able to make them accessible to other developers who build games or things on top of that, and that would be a great thing.
Building things right into the OS even, we find that's great. We work with Ubuntu. We're built right into Ubuntu at the OS level, and it's those kind of things that can differentiate the services against just another app.
Okay, so maybe we could now go to Scott and we could talk a little bit about these new streaming music services and discovery. We already know that streaming music is a big new topic, but what differentiates what you guys are doing from other streaming services, and what's the biggest new factor inside your service that people should know about?
So, I mean, basically we are a streaming service like other streaming services out there. And we were looking at seeing how do we approach this. We have 8 million, 9 million, 12 million songs. When you get to that sort of level, it's just, there's so many songs, where do you begin? And so we started thinking about that with ourselves and said, well, okay, how did we start discovering music? And it kind of, back in high school and when you were younger, you'd go over to your friend's house, you'd go over and listen to their collection. And if you liked it, you then went out and you bought the depending on how old you are, the CD yourself. And so it's kind of how do we get that element of listening to other people's collections and finding out and discovering music from your friends, because music is a social thing. It's not a relationship between you and a computer. It's not an algorithm that says, oh, you like this song, so you must like this song. So it was taking that sort of theme and it was putting it online. And then we started thinking about your kind of different social graphs. And we believe that going forward, people will have multiple social graphs. Facebook is one, but it's just a massive social graph, and it's a good social graph. But it's one of those. While it's good to see your ex-girlfriend from high school, their picture. I mean, you didn't like their music then. You're probably not going to like their music now, and you don't want that interfering with, your influence and taste. So from that aspect, we kind of took a page out of Twitter's book, and you could pick your tastemakers. You could follow some friends that were good in music. You could follow some, magazines, some labels, some DJs, and from that, they then, just by passively listening to their own music, formed a heavy rotation within your site. So
right, and part of this is, the history of your company. You guys have this incredible technology core, which really enables you to make a scalable system to connect all the users together. It's not just trivial to suddenly be able to build a system that you can actually have millions of people communicating with each other.
No, I mean, I guess you can look at it one or two ways. We just launched in August, but the company's been around for about 2 years, and most of that was, unfortunately, we couldn't go to Getty Images and just get our licenses. We had to do it the old-fashioned way, and it took about 2 years to get. And
well, that's short, actually.
Yeah. So to do that in the 2 years, we had a lot of spare time with a lot of developers, and built the core back end, and then we kind of took a lot of the people are from Skype, and so the philosophy was, just like Skype, with a very technical core, a hard back end, a very easy, interface and usability, kind of concentration.
Okay, well, I really want to say a lot about the fact that an explosion of these new services is really coming, and maybe just one comment I could have at this point. A lot of people have been hearing about locker, services are here and coming from different people. Does anybody in the panel have a particular opinion about what a locker service might be and what all this cloud stuff is? Is this stuff really all that new?
Well, it's funny because the company that I was at, Getty acquired us because we had a technology that enabled Getty to have what we call MMS, which is Media Manager Service. And our clients are everybody from Symantec to General Motors to KMVH, Sports Illustrated, and we manage not only their video assets and their image assets, but also their audio assets. And we do it for Disney, a lot of different companies, right? And it's been in existence for a long time. And the reason why they like it, as opposed to like buying a software package, right, is the fact that we're constantly building it, constantly adding a lot of stuff on it, and they know the rights of what everything they can use for it. It's all for commercial use, and it's been around, as I said, we got acquired in 2004, and it's been, a great business for us.
So the cloud terminology is really just, I call it a new terminology for a server network.
We're a billion-dollar business. We are a relatively new company. We only have been in existence since '95, right? And the say like we license a piece of content a second, right? And if you look at just the scale, you can Alexa or ComScore what iStock does. It's just unbelievable. And so that technology's out there, and the whole thing is if the customer, right? And this is the biggest message that I would say for the music companies, and there's some really great people, and love Rob and a lot of the people that have been here, is you know what? Listen to your customer. If your customer wants to have the music on multiple devices, wants to be able to drive their car, then walk in the house and have the experience of what they were listening to in the car, and have it so that they can take their music anywhere and be on multiple, devices or whatever. It should be really easy. Don't hang on to price point. But the number one thing is know your customer, listen to your customer, and do what the customer wants to, how they want to get it.
That's great.
I think from that perspective, locker services are long overdue, right? So, I think it's better to sort of focus on locker, that concept, as opposed to cloud, because it means sort of everything that's in the internet, right? And we've already talked about that today. But the concept of locker itself, it isn't even really that revolutionary either, right? It's just letting you sort of access your music in a lot more flexible and variable ways, right? So we're in an interesting time right now where there's a little bit of legal gray area and debate around this stuff. So you've got, it's really right now down to this question of license to make that convenient as opposed to super annoying to sit around and wait for your stuff to upload, upload however many thousands of songs you've got, right? But it's, it is a good thing. I don't think it's going to change the business, but just imagine the fact that, you no longer have to worry about backing something up or grabbing it or really downloading or uploading it, but it's just there. That's, that type of ubiquity has got to be good for the business overall.
Yeah, one of our biggest criticism for streaming services is, or one you hear a lot is, I don't want to rent my music, I want to own my music. That shows up in comments and stuff like that. The funny bit about that is I can pretty much guarantee I can pick how old you are by saying that comment. The concept of having a collection and owning it and not just having the access to it, whether you call it cloud or whatever, it's the idea of wanting to hear a song, any song from any platform, anywhere. Whether that's in your locker and you owned it before or through a streaming service, I don't think the locker service is going to be actually relevant in a couple of years' time.
Go ahead.
Just think, to come back again on the experience itself. Cloud service, why not? You have a great service called Spotify, available out of Europe for €9 a month. It's quite okay in terms of cloud service. But as far as the experience is concerned, I think we all need to focus, all the startups, developers, on the experience itself, like trying to build a bunch of API, SDK to improve the user experience for the end user. Companies such as the Mobile Roadie, SoundCloud, RDIO, etc. It's about our gaming companies as MXP4. It's all about the experience, and that's where we need to monetize, and this is where we can monetize in the future.
I mean, I think maybe that could be a topic we could talk on a little bit, which is the opportunity for the music artist. The music services are now here. There are many different forms, but the ability to actually package other things that the artist creates with the music. For example, maybe imagery of the artist. Maybe Vince, you could talk a little bit about, how important is a photograph of the artist, or how important is imagery?
The
artists may not realize this, but it's actually very important.
One of the best things I did in the last few years was I acquired 2 of the biggest music artist image archives, right? And they've been enormously profitable for us. And one is UK based, which is Redfern's. Another one is LA based, called the Michael Oakes Archive, right? And just to watch, like, the possibility that you could take, say, Led Zeppelin, and you could take the tours, and you could add all this sort of experience to it, and have this visual, right, that could be on your flat screen or on your mobile. And it's something that we're working with Greystone on, which we're really excited about, and it's one of the initiatives that Ty really grabbed a hold of. And it sounds like we're a promo for it, but it's something that I talked to Ty years ago about, and I've always felt this experience, because if you look what happened to music, right, in the last 11 years, it really became an Excel sheet. But seriously, going even to the CD, it was this little 6-panel, right, package, right? And I had the fortune of being in the vinyl era, and I would have the Led Zeppelin disc that you could turn. I had the zipper of Mick Jagger. We had the big fold-out. And if you look what happened, maybe say MTV replaced the visuals for a while. Then MTV decided, well, let's just show shows about the real world and other things like that, and took the visual out of it. And if a lot of people talk about the concert business, you look at things like Coachella selling out in a few days, or Lollapalooza, or what's gone on with Austin City Limits, and they're all saying, like, this business is a great business. And what isn't a good business in the live business is when the price point's too high, right? But people really love to see the visual, and the visual.
Your friend is the photographer. I mean,
yeah.
The number one thing on Facebook is the Facebook photo share.
Yes. Yes.
Photo shares everything. Like, you used to be like, oh, I don't want that photographer. Now it's like, where's the photographer? So take a picture of me, share it.
Why aren't more people incorporating that type of imagery and visuals into the distribution of music at the consumer level, right? Or maybe a better question is, why isn't LP a shitload more popular?
Because it's not well, the MX4 could talk about this. They tried very hard to create an open format. LP is only an Apple format. You can't play that in anything but the Apple world. And that
actually, they didn't work on the iPad because they were Flash. Oh. So you can't play
everything. You can't play everything.
Yeah, you can't play your Apple LP on your iPad because it was Flash based. And I saw like some of the stuff they were doing, which was really, really cool. But unfortunately, because they don't support Flash, right, they couldn't do it. But it's really one of the great things that I'm open, and I love the fact that that we're working together on it, and I can see that we're sitting here and we're watching all these flat screens and telling us about how our time's counting down or whatever, right? But the thing is, you're looking at it is this kind of world, and it is this visual world, and to add all these visuals is really easy to do.
It turns out musicians
it's not just about visuals. I mean, for us, it's all about APIs. We're working with companies like Gracenote and EchoNest, and they've got absolutely rich data. It's imagery, it's lyrics, it's all contextual stuff. Agreed. For me, it's really encouraging, because for the first time, we're actually with digital moving beyond CD. We're not trying to recreate CDs for the digital age. We're actually saying, okay, what more can we do with it now?
Yeah, I'm really excited that eventually get past the album cover going like this, and then like that, and then like this.
It's doing like high def.
Right
we just released the new Radiohead album in 24-bit FLAC, and people were saying, oh, digital quality doesn't matter, it's all going down quality. 89% of people paid extra for the 24-bit version. So I challenge anyone on that. We're seeing with digital we can do things that you could not do with a CD.
Right. I mean, my ex-CEO, David Hyman, now he runs MOG, always told me, because he used to sell on high-end stereos, quality has to be sold. You have to sell quality. People don't know the difference if they can't hear it or see it. And so that is important as well, and that's been missing for a long time. It's been about portability.
But you guys think it's going to become a more active, listening to music's largely a passive experience, right? Certainly nice slideshows and visuals are good. I mean, Al, you're definitely about making it an active sort of thing, right?
Music has always been an interactive and social experience. You know, like you are mentioning the vinyl experience. The vinyl experience is something you are sharing together. It's a nice object. It's raw. What was missing with the CD maybe or the MP3 is the social experience. And you know, music is something you listen to, you share, you enjoy with friends. It's run. Let's make a parallel with the ringtone business. You know, something I'm familiar with a previous company. People were ready to pay about €3, $3 for a ringtone. Okay, instead of paying 99 cents for an MP3. Okay, why? Just because buying a ringtone, if you buy a Lady Gaga ringtone, it's about your personality. You know, it's about the way you look with your friends. You know, and that's where they were ready to pay for. You know, that's it.
I really agree with Al, and I'll say this to you, Kevin, I put a Sonos system in my house, right? And people coming to my house, but it's totally changed my idea of streaming, and you know, I can go to my music library off my hard drive, or I can listen to any radio station in the world. But it's become a real social thing where people come over to my house and they start DJing, right? And they start picking out like songs they want to play. And then in my house, I happen to have a wife that believes Brigitte Bardot is a pop star. Nothing wrong with that, Alban. But you know, I'm able to.
She's French.
And I have a 4-year-old. And, you know, I was listening to Rob talk about his 2-year-old. My 4-year-old now is like, you know, Daddy, I want the Black Keys, I want Sleigh Bells, and Yo Gabba Gabba, right? Like, and the worst is when I go into the car, right? He starts doing shout-outs, and I go, I don't have the Sonos system in here, right? You know? And it is social. It's like, like I saw Luke's from talking about the Dre's Beat, the headphones, but nobody's talking about this, and I really like what you were talking about, Al, is this idea of music is this social experience. Oh, sorry, music is this. You said I didn't need one. Music is this. Your pictures on Facebook of you and the Grace Note gang at Glastonbury was so much fun. I mean, you know, we were.
I tried to take those down. Those are coming down right away.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I mean, the social experience of that, I think, is a big thing. Maybe we could talk a little bit about that, which is sharing playlists. Is that actually something people want to do, or they just want to share artists? What are they doing on your service?
Well, so what we have is a coupling. You can subscribe to a playlist. So if someone makes a playlist, you can just do that. And funnily enough, I mean, random people, I'll go into my playlist and I'll have totally random people listening to my playlist and no matter what I do. And another aspect that we have that we find is very highly used is a collaborative playlist. So anyone can then just go on and make a playlist. So if you're going on a road trip, I'm having a party over, put your music on this playlist, and it's just there. And it just kind of plays and shuffles and does all that kind of stuff. So it is very much a social aspect.
So one thing I do want to acknowledge, we are at a branded entertainment event here, and I do want to talk about the role of brands. So Ben, could you actually make a media player or an application for a brand? If Coca-Cola came to you, can you build an app for them, or how does this work now? Because it was too hard to build a distribution system into something before, but you've made it into just a API call. How does it work?
Sure. Well, we work actually with some third-party media players like Winamp and Songbird and Ubuntu. There's no reason why you couldn't build our APIs into any kind of app. We've got people running things on Silverlight and Android, all kinds of different platforms. And yeah, we also do work a lot with brands who really love to associate themselves with music, but do it in a way that is relevant to the consumer, so they have choice. So sure, we could create an app for Coca-Cola. The problem would be the licensing, as always.
Right. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that just as a workaround. One of the things that people have actually asked me here at the show is okay, so even if I want to use iTunes, for example, the iTunes music store isn't in China, for example, but I want to get music out there, what can I do? You can, the App Store is there. You can sell an app. And so is that possible to do that? Or what do you think about apps as music, or music albums as apps? Or
well, sure. I was just checking out iTunes here in Singapore, and you can buy apps from the app from iTunes here, but you can't buy music.
Right, but some apps are music, which is kind of an interesting workaround.
Yeah, and
it doesn't make sense as much other places, but maybe here it makes actual sense. I don't know.
Well, I wonder how many of those are actually licensed in any way. Obviously, if it contains music, then in theory it should be licensed. But now with Vince's wonderful solution, you can get one-click license, and you can launch a legal app wherever you want.
Right. I mean, that seems like a big opportunity. Maybe we could actually go to Kevin and have Kevin talk a little bit about one area, which is how do artists measure success? Like, okay, all right, great, I'm on all these different platforms. You've got me in 600 different things. Do I get statistics? Do I, what do I get to look at? I mean, I'm an artist, man. I got to play my guitar. What do I do?
Yeah, I mean, I think at a high level, it's going to be about dollars, right? But people being able to do that themselves. But I mean, I think so. Ultimately, you want to. I think maybe the question is a little bit more about like how do I get to success? And I think where you're going here is around sort of analytics and tools that sort of help you measure your impact and your growth, and ideally sort of help you navigate the promotional and sort of marketing world to go out and reach more fans, right? I mean, I think it's from that standpoint, I think it's a pretty damn exciting time in the business. And another thing that we try and do for our clients is provide really good sort of in-house tools around reporting and analytics for people to, with the data that we've got coming in from our partners, are going to help them understand where their sales are.
You can like roll that all up into something that's actually comprehensible, essentially.
Yeah, right. Sort of make sense out of it. But there's also a really pretty big boom, I think, sort of in just general analytics focused towards the musician, right? A lot of this is around mostly social platforms, right? But if you look at companies like Next Big Sound, BuzzDeck in the UK, these guys are doing some pretty amazing stuff where you can come in and look across every platform in which you might be trying to engage your fans. Twitter, Facebook, some people still use MySpace.
Even just, a lot of people don't realize that there are these tools out there with coded links. You can basically build coded links, you put those in the Facebook page, and then it actually gives you back stats anytime people click on it, and people don't even know that exists, so that you can actually see if this link worked versus that link worked, and you didn't have to necessarily do that through Facebook's platform.
It's amazing stuff. And now you can overlay sales data. So we have a partnership with Next Big Sound where we take our iTunes data and data from a number of other services and put it back into their platform, and you can chart and see where blog impact or number of new friends on Facebook or number of sort of responses to tweets is actually going to go back and impact sales for you. And I think that's the next big question is like, now I've got access to a ton of data. How do I make a decision based on the stuff that's going to really be the right thing for me?
Yeah, I mean, I think really the idea there is that the real-time feedback nature of it now, if you perform a gig, you can actually, literally on your mobile phone, see the tweets from the people there, what they thought, if they liked what you're doing, if the new thing you played actually they cared about. All that information is actually, a new tool for, changing and adapting what you do. And
yeah, I mean, we're at the point where you can log on the next day after your gig, I think, see how many new friends you got in a particular market, and actually see how many sales through iTunes or any number of digital retailers came out of that place as well.
Maybe we could ask another question of Al down there. So Al, I know that you were talking a little bit about rich media containers. I can see a few of the tweets here from people. So, you said your MXP format failed for a rich media container, but succeeded as a game container. Why? Why didn't we get a new album? Why isn't there a new album format that's got all this cool stuff in it?
Well, MXP4, we started with the assumption that we would get, all the audio materials from the artists, and then we managed to do it for about 150 artists, then not that much, and it was not scalable enough, and basically what we've done is looking at Facebook again. We've done, one example with the David Guetta, this French DJ. He has now, I think today he has 20 million fans on Facebook. We did the first app with him. Now we just had to analyze his tracks on the fly, and out of this analysis, we're able to power on the fly music games. And we had 1.3 million monthly active users.
Wow.
People playing 15 minutes per session, and sharing with friends 50% of the time.
That's fantastic.
That's what we've done with David Guetta and also with Enrique Iglesias and some others. And that's why we decided to move B2C and to license the music from the major publishers and labels to make sure music fans can select any MP3 from a licensed library on Facebook and play with any game, compete with friends, share their score on Facebook on their walls, and also use Facebook credits to unlock a full track to play with it, or to get virtual boosters, energy, whatever virtual goods we can sell on the service.
So you mean engaging with the artist in a fun way
engaging,
actually gets people to actually like the artist and do something with them?
Yeah,
shocking.
Exactly.
Can I ask you one more question, which is, how do you figure out, or how do they figure out what kind of game? I mean, obviously the one that worked with 1.5 million, that worked, but how do you figure out what people want to do with your music?
We started building the game on our own, okay, first, and then we've developed an SDK, you know, again, because we want to make the most of the new generation of content developer, of application developer. Then now we have an SDK, which is available, an API, basically, which is available for the game developer, so that they can build their own game. Then you can imagine even a musician or a game developer uploading his MP3 on the platform, a game developer uploading a new game using our technology, and then you have a new generation of, you know, apps and music games available for the fans that are refreshed on a weekly basis. Then we have an opportunity to have an Angry Birds every week on music.
Okay, well, that's really great. Well, one thing I'd like to do now is I think we're getting down to the last little bit of time here. And so maybe we'd like to just have a couple closing statements here. Of all the things we've heard in the panel here, what excites the panelists most? You know, what's the new thing that they would really like to see? And if you could make the answer kind of short, maybe you could start with you, Ben. What do you want to see that you haven't talked about?
Well, I just wanted to make a point around cloud and Locker. There's a lot of hype around that. I mean, the cloud is just the internet. I think we made the point already. I'm really excited about it as a consumer because I've always I've always wanted access to my music like I have access to my email. I consume email in like a weekly basis, probably on like 5 or 6, 7 different devices. It's reformatted on the fly for that particular device, and it's a good experience. If I can get my music in the same way in my car, etc., not having to worry about things, that's a great thing for me. The other point I wanted to make was that there was this great theory 2 or 3 years ago that the internet was the great democratizer, and that record labels were going to go out of business because everyone was just going to release their music directly. This whole self-publishing thing, it's not really worked out. Apart from a couple of isolated examples, we've not seen.
You can't just dump your music on the internet and suddenly millions of people find it.
Lady Gaga,
generally speaking,
Lady Gaga would not be the success she's been without a damn good record label and a great marketing team behind her.
Okay. Scott?
I mean, I guess I agree with Ben. It's you know, the ability just to get your music in all the platforms whenever you want and whatever you want to hear. I mean, when you you know, when Vince's kid does do the shout out, that you're able to listen to that song right then and there, because it is an aspect of almost, you know, immediate gratification when the song pops into your head, or the desire to hear something, you know, to be able to do it.
Vince?
You know, one thing I want to say, and I really want to, you know, I agree with Ben on what he's saying with the major labels and such, and there is a lot of great, you know, independents out there. My favorite band of the last years is the Sleigh Bells. But the big message that's got to go out there is, let's stop complaining, right? Let's go forward. There's nothing, the music couldn't be better, right? You're looking at how the festivals are and the excitement around all these wonderful bands. Let's stop worrying about formats, right? Let's get experimental. Let's like make great music, and let's talk about all the great music out there. And it's gonna come from everybody up here doing a lot more creative things. And that should be the first and foremost thing, because one thing that Sean Parker told me 5 years ago when he was moving from the colleges to outside with Facebook is the #2 thing after people making friends, right, was music. And you know, obviously he got burned at Napster, and you know, he didn't want any music on Facebook. But I couldn't be more passionate about music. I love it. I love hanging out with you at South by, and Ben and everybody else here, and can't say enough good things about it. Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm going to jump on the sort of agreement bandwagon here, but you know, all of these things are good and exciting. I mean, I think, Vince, you sort of created a nice little segue there to talk about what might happen when Facebook and Spotify roll out their new partnership that they just rolled up, right? But this key point of really like being able to interact with the music, to share it, to talk about it, to engage with it, to discover new stuff wherever you are is really what it's all about, right? And so, I mean, I think that, yeah, we've got a rent versus own sort of divide that's not going to go away anytime soon. This is sort of a generational thing, but now we're finally getting to the point that however you feel about this, that same concept of being able to get, whether it's stuff you own wherever you want, or whether it's stuff you don't own and don't know that you're going to like tomorrow, or wherever you are and want, is a great thing. So I think we're finally sort of getting there.
Great. Okay, well, we had to make our panel a little bit shorter, trying to make us some time we lost today. We have opportunity to maybe have one question from the audience. There must be somebody out there with a burning question for our panelists about the future of music, the future of media, peer-to-peer file sharing, I don't know. We'll take DRM questions. Anyone out there have a question? Just raise your hand and we will find you with a microphone. If not, then I'm going to thank all of our panelists for a great panel.
Well, and if you want to, I'm just going to do one little plug. There's a brilliant Getty photographer out there. So instead of you guys bringing home
just
the
one, Vince?
Yeah, out there shooting
zebra.
pictures by the zebra. Now, instead of coming home with those pictures of the escort you were with last night, it'd be much better to have a great Getty, and he's just doing this free. You can enjoy it and have a good time with it. And I'm really glad you always do a fantastic job moderating. And I would say the one thing that you've taught a lot of people is don't be scared of technology, embrace it. And Ty, thanks. And thanks,
Bryce.
Jasper.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks very much for having the panelists. Let's have a